Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Hope you liked that intro. It took me quite a while to make. Took a toll on rendering, but I think it was 100% worth it, and I'm so glad I get to showcase this wonderful build. A bit of a history. When I was originally playing on PS3, which is what I was playing on before I got my computer, I started playing on Java. I played on PS3, and I had this world and I essentially built this factory in it, not the cars and all this stuff, but I'd built the main body of it, and I even had a concrete farm in it, and I had a sheep farm in it, and I even had a huge iron farm in the base of it, which was Tango's Iron Phoenix, and I did it so that I could accommodate the villager tower that actually went up, and I put a smokestack there so I could hide everything nicely. But I called it Aeromag Industries or Industrial, and I absolutely love the world. But then I think what happened is the iron farm actually corrupted a chunk. So whenever I tried to load that chunk, it would freeze the world. So I thought about every way I could go in and try to fix it. So I actually went in and I tried to save the game while in it, thinking, oh no, when I load it, it'll just reload everything. Didn't know a lot about the technical part of it, or technical like game mechanics at that point. So yeah, I ended up corrupting the world, and I can no longer load into it now. But I thought, what better way to pay homage than to actually build it? So I'm just gonna turn off these shaders. That way we can actually get an appreciation for everything, considering it's gonna be super dark inside with these shaders on. But yeah, I thought this was a good way to pay homage, as I never actually really finished that building. But to actually come back and show this farm in action, or show this building in action with at least one of the farms, and even a better farm. What I'll actually do is I'll actually go into my old PS3 Redstone testing world, and I'll show you the original design for this farm. It's obviously based off of Vilmango's concrete farm that he used on Psycraft. He put it in the end. They also had other reasons to do it. I'll explain them when I get into my redstone testing world. Like the movement feature with gravity blocks, that was actually removed in 1.14, so you have to come up with a little bit more creative solutions now. But yeah, I'll just show the farm a little bit, then I'll go show you the history of it. So essentially everything is controlled with this main panel. These two are just spawn commands, so the way this farm actually works is you would have either players or bots. Obviously this would be on more of a server setting one. You wouldn't need this much concrete otherwise, but they essentially sit here and then they just place blocks. So the way the farm works is essentially they place, they just get moved over, and then they fill up these modules, and they get pushed over, turned into concrete, and then pushed up, and then blown up. Pretty simple. But the actual brains of the system, this is just a system that's designed to do the same thing over and over. But the actual meat of it's all done down here. So we actually have a chunk loader. This was not fun to research and figure out. We have item distribution, so we take the items. In this case, they're duped to the players through these dropper elevators. I have instant piston lines, which just control everything. What else do we have down here? And then we have another line that comes over here, and it goes to our duper. I'll leave a link to the guy who actually designed this farm, or this duping module, in the description if you guys would like to check it out. It's super good. But with this setup, I'm getting 20,000 concrete per hour. And then we've just got some little things over here. That's just for show, and then this is our actual storage. So I've actually run this farm a little bit. We can see a bunch of blocks. It's actually a lot more than I thought there would be. So actually, you know what, we'll just explain it from the start. So the items get duped. So essentially the duper is, it's sending one into the end here, and then it's also keeping one in the overworld. And what that does is we cause caused the game to actually create two entities. So obviously one here and one in the overworld. And that's how we make two, and we continue doing that over and over. So the items actually will shoot out to the side, break on those, and then get taken all the way to the end portal. They'll then actually go to the spawn. In this case, I've actually set the world spawn, and it's actually right here. You cannot have any solid blocks, or else the items will spawn on them. So I have a leaf and some carpet, and technically not solid, so they are fine. So then where that block is, they go actually straight down, and they spawn down here. And then they obviously get collected, taken to the player, and then the rest I've already explained. Then from there, actually, once the TNT breaks them, they just get collected by water streams, and then taken down a line and over to our storage system. Yeah, that's essentially it. Not a super I'm using this word very loosely. Super complicated. But the thing is, it's a simplified machine, but it uses complex systems like all of this stuff here. And it also, like, a lot of research went into this prior. But yeah, for 20,000 items per hour, I don't think it's bad. And then just before we head over to the PS3 testing world, I just want to showcase the rest of this, because I just love how it turned out, especially like the air conditioning stuff on the top, and then of course all of the cars. I think it really makes this world feel like it's a real living thing. This was a pain to do, to be completely honest. But yeah, extremely happy with how this world turned out, and just trying to create a story here, like the forklift lifting up sand. I really should put like a bulldozer there, and then lifting it into the truck. The truck takes it over. But yeah, I try to create a story. I wanted to make this feel like a real place, because I don't want to just leave empty space. And actually, speaking of empty space, I do have all of these like office buildings, because obviously this place has got to have workers, so each layer is the same. It's just full of conference rooms and stuff, and some offices. I even took the time to do a bathroom, which I'm quite proud of. So some urinals, some stalls, some sinks, and then a little hand dryer. I think I found the right block for that. Everything's actually accessible though. Like if I want to go over to control, I just walk along this gangway. I've actually got elevators here. And this is Elmango's design. I'll also link these in the description below. I've used these since 1.11 and they work every time. Even on PS3 I used them, and that was a lot of fun. And I've got one that takes us down. Again, trying to create a story. If you'd ever need to like service something with the farm, you'd come down here and you'd do your business. But I'll just send this back up to the top. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this world turned out. I think I did a really good job. And then of course this world's just designed by WorldMate. I think that's what it's called. It's just a program. I'll link it in the description as well. It's how you can create your own custom worlds. So what I'll actually do is I'll hop over to my PS3 world. I'll show you the original system. Then we'll hop into my redstone testing world, and I'll explain the original system versus this updated system that I have here. But yeah, I'll see you there. All right, so it's gonna look a little different. I'm actually in my PS3 world. This is actually where I first designed this type of farm, obviously based off of Elmango's concrete farm that he used on SciCraft, but this was my design. Oh my god, I have not played this game in so long, but you can see essentially the same thing. So we'd have concrete powder coming across these lines, then they would get counted, and then they would fall into these things. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we stack 6 on top of each other on a fence post. That's how they're floating together. Then we shoot them over with a slime block. Of course, because they're entities, and then they fall into this slime block and they get pushed up. And once they're in the water, they actually get converted to concrete, which is actually, it's quite a cool effect to see. And then we just push them around and we turn them into a couple blocks, and then we push them into eventually what would be a TNT duper. But yeah, you can see this was my first rendition. I think it turned out quite well. Like, I mean, even just this entire world, this is where I really learned how to play the game. This is where I completely started. So if we just come back down here, hit this button, we'll be able to see this thing in action. See, they should get shot over, shot up. You can see they turn into solid blocks, pushed up and pushed over. Quite a cool sight to see. When I was actually designing this farm, I wanted to make it so that I could use just dupe white concrete powder. This was obviously before they fixed it, but what's awesome about this is if we actually take some concrete powder and just fill this up, you're going to see it all actually get converted into a bunch of different types of concrete just from the white concrete that's originally there. And this is like purely one of my favorite things. So if we just activate this, see, we're actually creating more colors. And what I was going to do with this was I was going to implement it into another world, and that's of course where I would dupe all the white concrete powder and then convert it and then make these colors. I was quite far down that world. I'll show a clip at the bottom. That world ended up getting corrupted, and it was not a fun day. I tried for weeks to get it back up and running, but it was my best world. And yeah, it was quite sad. And then a couple weeks after that, I got my computer, and ever since then, I've been on PC. But yeah, you can see this is how this farm works. Pretty basic principles. I'm just going to fly around here, see if I can remember some of the times, and see if I can try to rebuild it, or at least make it quicker and faster. A little bit more efficient, because, I mean, if I can make this better, then obviously. Yeah, but yeah, that's what we'll do. So I'll go back to my redstone test world on my computer, and I'll meet you guys back there. Alright, so I'm sorry for the video. It's definitely not the greatest, but it's also PlayStation 3, so it's not going to be perfect. But this, obviously you guys will recognize this is my redstone testing world, and this is actually where essentially all my ideas come from, where I design everything. Here we just have a chunk loader. When I was originally designing this whole system, I originally started off with this concrete duper design. And that was, I think that was like 5 months ago, and I was just sitting here, so some of you might have seen it if you had a keen eye. But again, I'll link this in the description, but in order for this to run, it needs the chunk loader, and that's why we have the huge chunk loading pattern underneath the farm. Over here, this was my original PS3 design. Like I talked about earlier, they removed the feature where if you drop any type of gravity block onto a fence post, it used to float half a block high because of the hitbox, but it no longer does that. There is ways to get around it though, and I actually did a lot of research to find this out, and it's called block 36. It's essentially the same entity that used to sit on top of here and make this thing float. You can see I've actually got it happening here. So obviously just normal fence post does that, but if we set this block to something called block 36 or moving piston, it's invisible. It's technically a ghost, or not really a ghost block, but you can't place anything on that fence post now. But if you throw something on top of it, it's like that. The only way to get rid of these is with TNT though. So not super reliable. If you put one in, it's gonna be a real pain. Obviously, this is not survival friendly. There is ways to do it in survival. It involves using end crystals and blowing them up with a piston, moving down at the same time. It's super complicated. I did try it. I think I only got it once or twice, but I actually don't even know where the block is. It's somewhere in here. but it's too unreliable, so I decided I'd go with another solution. But for those of you who do like that solution, I'll again link another video to the guy who actually designed this system. This is incredibly smart. So all of these actually have block 36 on top of them, which is the moving piston. And you can see we can actually place blocks like that. Now obviously the visual thing is you'd see it slide all the way back when it was in 1.13. Doesn't do it nearly as far. It only goes like 4 or 5 blocks. Again, not reliable. So you can actually just use a mini conveyor belt like this. But what sucks is when they reach the end, they pop off. I'm assuming it was probably fixed in 1.15, 1.16, 1.17. I'm not exactly sure because this system was actually designed in 1.14. But yeah, so I decided I'm not going to do that. It's too unreliable and they're just going to break. There's no point. So I decided just to go with a simple conveyor block. I actually think I have this thing set up properly. So you can see this is actually the system that's in the other world. It's designed to do this properly. So you can see we push in 6 blocks. And once we reach that, we take a comparator output, and that actually resets this little thing, which pushes that wall back over. When that also happens, we send a signal down here, which push all of these over. When they get pushed next to the water, they turn into concrete. Not nearly as cool as the jumping sand blocks that I had earlier. And it's essentially the same system, pushed over, pushed up, and then pushed over again, and then TNT duper. I didn't want to build it in here though. I didn't have a ton of space, so I'm just doing this. Then of course, what else is there? And actually when that happens, we're also sending a line from that same pulse, and that starts the next system, so we'll actually see it. I think we should be able to see it over here. We saw a line and it pushes this observer over, sends, and it pulls out that one. It's essentially how the farm works. It's just, I think, 4 of these modules. I'm going to turn this off before it legs out the world. So I technically, if we want to follow like a timeline, I took this design, which was my PS3 design, adapted it, made an actual working design for 1.18. Then I took that, and this was essentially a quarter of it. I then flipped it, put it on this side, put a water stream below it, and then I designed all of this stuff up here. Then from there, I actually just took 2 copies of this, flipped one or mirrored one, and that's how I have the 4 modules in my factory. This was actually the original. Some of you again might have seen this. I've had this world planned for like a year now, so actually all of these have been built for a while. But yeah, this was, again, I did a mini model, and then what I did is I think I scaled it up by a factor of 3.5. I actually rebuilt a new model in the other world. I didn't save it though, sadly, because I just wanted it out. Then I scaled that model up by 3.5 times, and I got the main building. That way I got the scale right, and it didn't look too weird. Obviously I adjusted some stuff just to make it look perfect. Again, all of these I got from, I'm trying to remember where it was. If you just search up Minecraft long haul trucks, or just 18-foot trucks or semi-trucks, and then schematic, you'll find ones for this. You'll get them in schematic files, not Litematica files. So I had to actually just rebuild them from what they looked like. I didn't actually use this long one. Yeah. I think what we'll do is we'll actually go back into that other world, and I'll just explain a little bit more of the farm, because there's still a little bit of stuff that I still haven't explained. So I just wanted to leave you guys with one last look at the farm, but obviously I wanted to actually show you it working. So I'm going to show you the complete process of how I do this. Obviously the first thing to do is turn on the chunk loader. So that just sends a signal that goes down here. And then it unlocks all these hoppers, so now these hoppers are trying to push into the next chunk. You can see hoppers right at the edge, and whatever it's trying to push into that chunk, it's causing it to load that one. But the way that we keep everything loaded is with this. It's just shooting an item back and forth through the nether. It's essentially the standard chunk loader now. But then after we do that, we have to turn on, actually, well, obviously you'd have your players be put into position. In this case, because I'm not having players on this world, I actually just use a bot command. So that spawns bots in there. There, I'm pretty sure this is using carpet, so it's like /player. Then you put the bot name in, and then you put spawn, and then at a certain block, facing a certain block. And then I also type in the command use continuously, which means it's just causing them to use their item continuously, which is eventually going to get shot out at them. But I also spawn one in the end. I actually don't even know if this guy's necessary anymore, but he stays here and he just loads the end for me. And then of course these are all the chunks. I don't think you actually need to have a bot in the end though, or a player in the end, because you're actually sending items. As long as you send an item into a dimension every 15 seconds, it'll load it for 15 seconds. But if you do that continuously, you're fine. So once we're there, I should be able to turn on the farm now. Just go in the back way. So now that we're up here, next step is turning on player item transportation. This is just sending the players their items, so it turns on. I think I already had it on, so. There we go. So that's just sending the players their items, and then what we'll do is we'll turn on the concrete duper. And this is like one cool sight to see. So you can see it's shooting it in. It's obviously creating two entities, one staying in the overworld, the other one getting transferred. And this is cool. I love watching this get split. And then you can see the items rushing up these water canals and then sent in. Then we won't see it when we spawn in because I've actually capped that. So if we come down here, you can see them spawning down here. So then actually from there it goes into our player item transportation, which means this thing should be running. And that just distributes the items back and forth among these 4 hoppers. And then those 4 hoppers go to the 4 different players. And then obviously once they have their items, you can actually see them being spit out there. We turn on the farm. So this one. So this just causes a clock to start running, and that'll start pushing items over. But yeah, that's essentially it. Yeah, I love this farm. And I definitely think I did it justice by rebuilding it. So I do want to thank all of you who made it this far in the video. Obviously there's probably only a few of you who've made it this far. But I just want to thank you guys so much. And if you really did like this video and you want to see more, consider subscribing. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.